Hey guys, it's Matt. It is remarkable what's going on with Alex Jones in the news cycle. I presented that chapter on the graduated animal farm, and that was only the eighth inning because the ninth inning is playing out now. The culmination of what the Alex Jones character was meant to do is playing out now before our eyes. And I'm a couple days late on the news cycle because I don't watch the news at all anymore. But, some things have popped up on YouTube and I see what's happening now. So this is fascinating. And it's so crystal clear what the Alex Jones sock puppet was designed to do. And it's 15 years in the planning. It's not that he was on our side once and he turned or took the money. No. They plan everything out decades in advance. The level of planning is almost not human. A few decades out of a plan, that's nothing. That's nothing to these creatures. So, for about a minute for those so they don't have to go get caught up on the news, let me just explain what's happening. Then I'll get into what is clearly this has to be an add-on to the graduated animal farm chapter. Incredible. Look. There's this. First of all, let me just stop. It's all fake. Everything is fake. So if I say there is a lawsuit that the families of the Captain Hook event in Connecticut, they're suing Alex Jones. There's no. It's all part of the stage show. So let's just get that out of the way. I might say things as if it's real, but that's just to communicate another point. It's all part of the crafted stage show. Every bit of it, in my opinion. But it relates back to the news that's being delivered to us. So Alex Jones, in some sort of a deposition for this lawsuit, the families of the Hook event, that of course is 100% real, and of course everybody died who they say died, and of course it's exactly like the news tell us it is. Of course. Why would anybody question something like that? Maybe that's the way I have to say it, so I'm not included in that lawsuit. Anyway, a deposition, some sort of a deposition where Alex Jones is backtracking and saying that no, he really understands now it's all real. And he says something along the lines of, I must have had some sort of a psychosis back then when I thought everything was fake, or I hinted that was fake. Just so you know, I watched Alex Jones at the time, all the time. 2012, 13, 14, even part of 15, I'd say were my years where I was really watching a lot of Alex Jones. I admit that. We all were kind of on that farm, probably. He never really went hardcore against the Captain Hook event. He always treaded lightly on that, no doubt about it. So there's no basis for this lawsuit anyway. He didn't do anything for the most part, but he's been positioned in this script, and people that don't really pay attention believe that for just years and years he just said to all his followers how fake it was, which he didn't even do. So even the basis of what the news article or the news headlines, they're based on something that's not even true. Not defending Alex Jones, I'm just saying I was there watching it. He treaded lightly on it. He never went there. There were several shows where, they did talk about certain aspects or elements that didn't quite add up, but he never hardcore went after that like he did 9/11, for example, marching up and down the streets of New York with banners. 9/11 is an inside job. He never did that sort of thing for the Captain Hook event. Nevertheless, so it's a mistake. He had a form of psychosis apparently, and he believed everything was fake back then. So that's what's in the news today. CNN, every single mainstream news source I'm sure is covering it because this is all part of the script. Psychosis, of course, implies he was crazy. Just a polite word for him saying, I was crazy when I said those things. Okay. Well, it's crystal clear, especially to the old guard, what's going on. Alex Jones delivered a lot of truth, tons of truth, for many, many years on a gigantic graduated animal farm. He opened his doors to the pen. The pen was a ranch of 1,000 acres, and come one, come all, and you'll hear truth here that you won't hear anywhere else. And there's no doubt about that was delivered. Truth was delivered up to a certain point, but things we would never hear anywhere else, like the ins and outs of the Federal Reserve, and guests like the guy that wrote The Creature of Jekyll Island. The Creature from Jekyll Island was probably a guest. So people came into the farm in the millions. People have come and go, but it's been in the millions by now. And the point is, once anybody around us found out that we were watching Alex Jones, a spouse knew you were watching, or a girlfriend, or a boyfriend, or a family member. In my case, it was my father, my uncle. We were then forever linked to Alex Jones. So now, in a 15-year plan almost, or even more, he's now being set up to being thrown off the cliff. But we've all been linked to him. Everybody that's ever been on the farm has been linked to him. And I don't mean personally you're linked to him, like you might say, I haven't watched that for years. No. From the perspective of the people around us, we're linked to him forever. Even if my father, a year or two ago, or a year and a half ago, when Alex Jones started to get some of the bad headlines, he came to me and said, did you see what your leader's up to? And he's in trouble, your leader. What are you talking about? Well, you watch him, don't see? It's all to link all of us to it. My dad knows the type of things that I spend time on. Okay, I don't hide that from anybody. He also knows that CNN and all the mainstream media says that this individual, Alex Jones, is the king of the leader of these groups. That's the way he's been positioned. Not of conservatism but hardcore conspiracy. Alex Jones has been positioned. So without me ever, again, my dad probably said years ago, "Do you watch Alex Jones?" I probably admitted, "Yeah, I watch." 2015, whatever it might be, 2014. But then he came to me somewhat recently and says, "Did you hear what's happening in the news to your leader?" That's an incredible giveaway as to what Alex Jones' role is. Anybody then see that what's amazing about it is, I was hinting when I was going to make this video that if we announce to certain people around us, friends, family, neighbors, that we watch Alex Jones, or we've bought a t-shirt or some of the products, then we're forever linked. And when they push him over the cliff, we go along with it, because the rope's tied around our waist. But the plan is even more ingenious than that. I've got a scratch, guys. I'm sorry. I've got a scratch. It's not some symbolism. I'm tired of apologizing. You talk, your mouth moves, and nose hairs need to be cut. Anyway, so what's ingenious though is, and I just realized this recently, and what my father said was very revealing, that even if you've never watched Alex Jones, see, we're linked to him. Even for those that have never ever watched, a lot of people that are into these sort of topics, even in 2013, 2014, watched him and is ranting and is raving, and that didn't appeal to a lot of people. Many people like me flocked to it because of the level of truth that was delivered, but it didn't appeal to a lot of people. But see, even like my dad said, those people are linked to Alex Jones. If there's a woman down here named Susan who just investigated all these things on her own, maybe from what she thought was the ridiculous shenanigans around this JFK event, and she got into all this, see, somebody like my father would say to her, "Did you hear what happened to your leader?" And she would say, "Well, I never even watched him. What do you mean, See, Alex Jones has been linked to everybody that has engaged in these sort of topics, whether we watched or not. It's worse with me and millions of others where my uncle knows I watched, or I might have presented something to another family member saying Alex Jones was reporting on this, and so now we're linked. So now this is the last act of the play. He's set up to take, I was going to say, the giant fall But with Alex Jones, it's been a series of mishaps, a series of they don't want to just have a one and done. They've been taking him down slowly. Every time they take him down or crush him down, all those that are linked to him get pulled down with him. So I was thinking that this is going to be the final act, but they'll string this along as long as they can. There are people waiting in the wings to take Alex Jones's role in all of this, like Joe Rogan. But no, they'll use him as long as they can. So no, I take that back. This isn't the final act at all. But it's a major act towards the end of the play for Alex Jones, because they can't keep he's just a clown, and you can't keep stringing him along for years, for much longer. In other words, they've wrung out that washcloth, and how many more drops are they going to get out of the clown show, Alex Jones? But now they use the word psychosis, and oh my gosh, even my dad would see it. Here's what would happen. He would open. He's down in Florida for the winter. My dad is a complete child of the Matrix. I don't want to say anything more derogatory because it's my father. I would say it derogatory towards others. He believes everything he's told on CNN. I mean, the discernment that I would say I have, he has zero. People talk about skipping a genetic generation. I'm just like my grandfather. I've heard a lot of people talk about this. I'm just like my grandfather. Absolutely nothing like my father. He watches CNN every night, hates Fox. That's just Trump stuff. He thinks that all that ruse is for real, that he believes that Republicans are actually at odds with Democrats. He actually believes Lee Harvey Oswald coordinated everything and killed Kennedy by himself. Believes every bit of every official story ever presented by this Matrix. It's mind-boggling. But one of the reasons, and I'm straying a bit, I'll come back, but he was a school teacher. You want to talk about Matrix programming. Spent 40 years in the rigid confines and behind the walls of a high school. And it's not that he's heard so many things a certain amount of times. It's that, in my opinion, having that as your job will actually rewire the brain. And that's putting it mildly. This is first grade mind control. I don't want to get too conspiratorial for anybody stumbling upon this. There are other techniques, but his brain was basically rewired, where I could have it in tremendous truth, and the evidence is overwhelming, and I could present it in front of my father, and we know this is now a disease rampant in all of society, can put it right in front of him, and he won't, literally, because of the veil he wears, won't be able to see it. Just will look right by it, like it's not even there. And I mean literally can't interpret it the correct way. That is how amazing of a job they've done. So when my father, I was just getting back to the example, he's in Florida, pull out the paper, he gets up really early in the morning, and 6 o'clock in the morning we'll open up the paper, and there'll be an article somewhere in the Orlando, whatever, I don't even know what those papers are called down there. Alex Jones admits to psychosis. Okay. I'm just going to tell you exactly how the process will play out. Alex Jones admits to psychosis and not believing the Captain Hook event was real. First thing he will think, because he's programmed to think this way, my father and millions of others, is he'll immediately associate Alex Jones to me. Okay, that is the link that they've created masterfully to all of us. Even if I never said or admitted to him I watched, like I said, he would still link it to me, because they've positioned him as the leader of we who run in these circles. So he would immediately link it to me, and he would, whether he would be consciously aware of this message or not, the subliminal message would be, the leader here admits to a psychosis, which means everybody knows crazy. I mean, he's admitting he was crazy when he believed this stuff was fake. Oh my gosh, my son, he's crazy too. I mean, that's the link they're trying to make. It's so obvious, but it's so pathetic and simple. But it will work. It will be successful. My father, when he sees that headline, will think, how crazy is his son? That's what will happen, and it's all masterfully by design. And the other thing, the other side effect or benefit they get out of these stories is they just won't ever think for a second it's all constructed stage show. They'll get thoughts like this. They'll say, even the leader of these crazies is now admitting it's real. Okay? And this actually leads to another fascinating point I'll talk about in a minute. Even the leader admits it's real. Well, this guy, he's built his whole empire based on promoting this fake news. It's all, all the truth he's ever spewed, of course, is fake to the people like my father and others looking into the pen, standing at the fence of the animal farm looking in. And, they'll think, well, even the leader's admitting. Well, so at some point I'm going to have to ask Matt, your leader admitted it's not even real. Are you still holding on to that ridiculous notion that nothing happened in Connecticut? What do you think I'm going to say? Well, of course, nothing happened. Would you like to sit down with me for 2 hours and I can show you all the evidence? Well, they'll never do that. They'll never, ever sit down with you. It's just, no, I've seen enough and I know you're wrong and I know you're crazy. And now even your leader admits he's crazy and you still are holding on that it's there. You really need professional help. And I've had family members come very close to saying those exact words to me. So the psychological, Freud, Edward Bernays, whatever tactics that they're employing using Alex Jones and keep wringing out that washcloth is remarkable. It really is remarkable. And if I don't know how simple my explanation is going to come off, or if I got confusing there, I'm just going to load this. I'm not going to go over this video at all. But just remember, they just put him up on the plane as the pilot. They put as many of us onto that plane through a linkage, and then they crashed the plane. They're also doing it to a lesser degree. They'll do it with Donald Trump. The system doesn't like conservatives. We know the conservatives that watch Fox News are as fooled as anybody else, thinking that there's actually a two-party rivalry going on and Nancy Pelosi's working against the Republicans. They don't see, they're fooled, but they're good people because their core belief set is correct, that conservatives is the first step towards truth. So why would a government need to be $4 trillion? What do I get for $4 trillion? Why is this government always trying to put its sticky tentacles, up something? Like, leave me alone. That's conservatism. Its basic premise is very sound. So go away. Leave me alone. It's the first step towards truth. Of course, then they just watch Fox News, and that's just meant to drum them up and lead the herd in a certain direction. But they just, the conservatives, obviously the system that has to always make itself bigger, more tentacles up your what, more ordinance, rules, regulation, code, tax law, whatever. It doesn't like conservatives. So in a sense, it's using Donald Trump to do the same thing that it's using Alex Jones to do to us. But it's not as violent as a crash, because it's not something as sensitive as Captain Hook. But they load up 30 million, 40 million hardcore base conservatives, the base, onto the Donald Trump plane. And then through his shenanigans, through his acting role, he's just playing a part. That's all it is. He crashes the plane with all the 30 or 40 million on. And see, they've been linked to Trump, all the conservatives. Meaning before the election, every hardcore conservative emailed their family for weeks saying, please don't vote Hillary. She was involved in pedo this and illegal that, and vote Trump. And they pushed. So then what happens is all the members of society, family, your work, co-workers, neighbors, friends that are kind of in the middle, that just don't really care. Anybody that really pushed for Trump, they put you on Trump's plane. Then the Trump role is to be just constant offensive shenanigans, just constant repulsive tweets and just horrible comments, and it's an acting role that's just it's amazing people can't see through it. But he's meant to offend. He's meant to just really anybody that's not a real Trump supporter. He's just meant to turn your stomach. Okay, that's his role. But then remember, there's 30, 20, 30, 40 million people linked to him. So that, my family, if I pushed hard for Trump before the election, and I admit, I really had, before 2016, I really was skeptical that this system may not be for real. But I always said in my videos, reality will be revealed. Reality will be revealed after Trump gets in, no matter what. And I actually went and voted for Trump. Okay, I had an inkling that things were not quite as they seem, but I'm going to go out and do this, and I went out and voted. It's the last time I'll ever vote, of course. But even in the middle of 2016, I was far, miles and miles from where I am now. And many of us, and many of you would say the same thing. It's almost like veils have been lifted for many of us. And we'll talk about that some other time. But, you know, there absolutely there are family members, if they didn't even see me in the conspiracy circle, that they would have put me in the Trump circle. I wasn't out in a march for Trump or anything like that, but you know, I told people who I voted for, and I did vote for Trump. I wasn't at the campaign headquarters. And very, very soon after, when it was all so quickly revealed that these people are just actors, puppets of the system, if anything was real, he would have gone and started to make changes that day. Nothing changed. I mean, nothing changed. People talk about these Trump accomplishments. I'm going, what are you even talking about? There's nothing that would be any different other than what Hillary would have done. All this border stuff, well, it's just news. It's just news items. It's just headlines. Nothing happens. It's just news headlines. Nothing gets done. It's just news headlines. So what? So even in that regard, Trump is become playing the role of such a buffoon that with a lot of truthers or like me, it's a double whammy, because most of my family also associates me with Trump. You know, when I was having those conversations with family, it was more about how just repulsive Hillary Clinton was, instead of not supporting Trump. It was just saying, how could you possibly vote for that creature? I mean, we don't. This guy seems like a egomaniac a-hole, but who knows what he is? With Hillary Clinton, it's the same 30-year tired story of Bill Clinton back in the White House. It was sickening to many of us, repulsive, of course. And we know now they're both repulsive, and we know now it was all a construct. And what a coincidence! The two most polarizing people in all the world just happen to face off. It's all fake. We know that. Sorry, I didn't have every bit of insight 3 years ago. I didn't know what I know now. It's like a veil is lifted. It really is like that. But in the same regard, like I said, I wasn't in the Trump headquarters with a bullhorn. But then I was also linked to Trump, and they've already crashed his plane, and they can keep crashing it over and over. If Trump comes out today with a offensive tweet that like a misogynist, womanizing tweet, or some that's why they position him with the pageants, the Miss Universe, or somebody can always come forth and say he groped me, and the stories that they could come up with are endless, and they'll just keep crashing the Trump plane over and over. And the point is, mostly the 200 million Americans that just don't really aggressively pick a side politically or get involved in trying to understand the things that we get involved with. All the conservatives are linked to Trump. And, well, no, the system does not want to ever push the conservative viewpoint. They're thrilled that most conservatives turn on Fox News and believe it's all real, but they don't like the underlying principles of small government. That doesn't help the system. Get it out of my business. That doesn't help the system. Less taxes. That doesn't help the system. So it makes sense ideologically they'll want to trash conservatism whenever they get the chance as well. So the Alex Jones plane has crashed with all of us truthers on it, whether we ever watched him or not, several times. The Trump plane they've brought down 20 times, and every time it's crashed, every time he's made to look like a buffoon on purpose or a disgusting pig on purpose, then just even if they're consciously aware of it or not, every bit of a neighbor remembers you talking about Trump before the election. And we like to think we're holier than thou, but if thousands of people that may listen to this video, if they're big enough, will admit that, yeah, I watched the Republican primaries, and I There's not going to be one person here that was a Democrat. I mean, that's literal psychosis. Like Michael Savage said, liberalism or Democrat. Liberalism is a don't try to understand it, because it's a mental disorder. It is a mental disorder. The conservative mind set is very, very sound. It makes sense. They're fooled, of course, but at the base level, it's very human. It's very natural to see that the Jabba the Hutt that already was fat in Return of the Jedi has gained another 50,000 pounds, and that's what we're dealing with now in this federal government. To not notice that Jabba the Hutt has gained an additional 50,000 pounds is, like Michael Savage said, liberalism is a mental disorder. It is. It really is. I'm well aware Michael Savage and all of conservative talk radio is a animal farm. It's to keep you there and to let you believe that that is really what truth is all about, and that's 50 layers away from any real truth. That's an animal farm that's just right across the cul-de-sac from CNN. It's not even close to the truth. Jules say in the Pulp Fiction, it's not even the same friggin' sport. So, but that's the purpose of all these animal farms. But again, animal farms many times deliver truth. They just won't go around. They won't go too far around the first corner, and you don't see anything unless you go around 2 or 3 or even 4 corners. But what Michael Savage said is absolutely correct. Liberalism, the readers of the Atlantic magazine, those who watch Rachel Maddow or MSNBC, and absolute monsters like Lawrence O'Donnell, it is a mental disorder, because you don't have to really be that into politics to really see what's going on out your window. I mean, we all live life where the time we get a hold of a dollar, it's been taxed 1,000 times, and then we buy some gumballs with it, and we see it's taxed again. It's taxed. Everything's taxed, and your cell phone bill is riddled with tax, and you get a plane ticket, and there's still a 9/11 security charge on the airplane ticket, and the government's constantly sticking its you-know-what up everybody's you-know-what. If you just live life, you see that this is an out-of-control behemoth that, that if these founding fathers, really did have good intentions, they would be rolling over in their graves. So these people live in the middle of it like we all do. And the point is, they go to the polls and they ask for more of it. They go to the polls and actually say, I want more ordinance, more rules, more statute, more regulation, more code. I want when I build a little deck out the side of my house, I want to have a series of 5 inspectors come, and what happened to me, the inspectors actually measured the hole on my own property. Well, your hole is 3 inches short. That frost line's 36 inches. You're at 32 inches. God forbid I say the other number. And it doesn't matter what truth is delivered here. I must be a shill for just mentioning a number. Your hole's at 32 inches. And then I had to, the other sets of inspectors came out because I was building a little deck. It's like the Democrats, they go, that's great. I love that sort of harassment. And I'm pulling the Democrat lever because I want more of it. It's not enough that if I live in New York City, they take about 50% of my paycheck. I want them to take more of it. I could go on and on. You don't want to hear me, but this is literally a mental disorder of some kind. It would be one thing if this government was proven to just do wonderful things. Like, it cured this disease last week, and look where that medical research money went. And look how our lives are so much simpler in this regard, or even if they had real wins in combating terrorism and saved lives, and people would say, this government's too big, but it's every once in a while it really does some great things. It hasn't done anything. Like Point Break, squat. It hasn't done squat. But just lay around like Jabba the Hutt on his sail barge in Return of the Jedi, getting thousands of pounds fatter every year. If Jabba the Hutt, every 50 years as he laid around getting fatter on his sail barge, cured a disease or something, he was okay, I'll put up with Jabba the Hutt, I guess. He doesn't do anything. He lays back in a sailboat, and I was going to get really, really vulgar, and most of you guys want that, but there's somebody I promised I try to cut that back, and when in doubt, we should err on cutting that back a bit. Jabba the Hutt as a metaphor for your government just getting fatter on the sail barge, that's enough. That's vulgar enough. So I've really strayed. Go too long as usual. Oh God. If I'm at 30 minutes something, if I get to 33 minutes, then I'll have to kill time to get to 34, or people will look at the time of my video and I'm a shill because I record a video at 33 minutes. That's the bullshit that I and people like me have to put up with. But anyway, that's what's happening. They've linked every truther to Alex Jones, and when the Alex Jones story is played out, they will insert. See, I'm watching the time. I mean, it's how pathetic is that I have to do this. They'll insert Joe Rogan. I've seen enough of him, just a few shows. He's just ready to take over Alex Jones's role, and all the truthers will probably flock to him, and then he'll play his Alex Jones role and crash that plane, taking us down once again. Thanks, guys. About 31 minutes. That's okay. People won't be skeptical. They will not see that I'm really an agent of the system because it's only 31 minutes.